Hello, it's me, Jess. Welcome to my channel. And today we are doing the 2022 reading. What happy changes are coming in for you in 2022? How can you make the most of 2022? How can you approach it? What things are you leaving behind? Any advice or tips? All of that good stuff. But before we jump into each one of the piles, if you've been on my channel before, you know that I like to shuffle for the cards that you get to choose from. That way Spirit kind of just selects the energies that are coming through. But I'm also super curious to know what the bottom deck energy is, because I feel like it permeates itself in a unique way in each one of these piles. But we had truth at the bottom of the deck, and I super love this energy to be a bottom deck energy. And you know how some people will pick a word or pick a theme or pick an energy? Maybe for some of you, truth is a good word or a good theme for you moving into 2022. However, maybe it's a personal truth or an overall truth, or connecting your personal truth with the ultimate truth, whatever that is, might actually be a big theme that you see recurring throughout your 2022. But when I went to pull this out, the curses card came out here as well, and it felt really significant. And I actually really love these energies together because, for one thing, I feel like for some of you, not for all of you, but if there is something big or negative, there was a lot of negative energy flying around you in 2021. Some of you guys are like, Jess, were you here for 2021? Yes, I was. But I think this is more on a personal level, where if there was some negativity being thrown around, then you might actually feel a sense of vindication in 2022, where the truth comes out about a situation and who was, flinging mud and who wasn't, or something like that. And there's nothing you have to do to make that happen. I just feel itself kind of working itself out like a splinter, it's just, that's going to come with the energy of 2022. Maybe that's over time. But the next thing that I'm getting, and I actually super love this, is I feel like a lot of you could be coming of age, karmically speaking. And that, I'm using that incredibly loosely, because I feel like we can come of age karmically. I'll try to describe better what I mean, but I feel like we can do that at any time. It's such a personal thing. So you could be 79, or you could be, 34 or 21 or 14. I feel like coming of age karmically is when you hit a point in your life, especially, and I would relate this to the Maslow's pyramid that I'm always talking about, where you feel comfortable, like you can meet your deficiency needs and you can start to really focus on self-actualization. And that flip for me usually means you see a person that really takes personal responsibility for the actions that they take in the world and the energy that they expend out into the world and the potency of those things. Because there's, when you have that sense of ownership, then you can really go in and tweak how you're showing up. I feel like a lot of you, 2022 is going to be a big milestone for that. And you're going to really start to burn through a lot of karma in the year 2022, and starting to take some very potent actions that really showcase maturation and a learning and an integration of a lot of the lessons that your soul really did come here to learn. So there could be some Saturn energy that's really coming through. Maybe some of you are going through a Saturn return, or you're right around that mid-30s period where your Saturn is starting to mature. But just take that one however it resonates. But I feel like 2022 could be actually like a spiritual milestone year for a lot of you guys. So after that long introduction, I'll go ahead and, I just saw pilgrimage. So some of you guys, maybe you're traveling somewhere or you're starting a journey here. A lot going on with the second pile. I can already feel it. But anyways, I will put the picture up for you to look at that and pick your pile. And then I will see you at your reading. pile number 1, this is a really specific message that's coming through. And whenever this happens on the channel, I'm always really curious if this is going to resonate with everybody who picked this pile. So I just want to let you know that right off the bat, that it might not resonate with everybody. Just take what resonates and leave the rest behind. If this isn't your pile, it's okay to try to pick a different pile and see if that one resonates a little better. The other thing that I'm going to say is that there appears to be a theme to your 2022 where there is some deeply buried psychological content here, and there's also a theme of resistance that's coming up. So the reason I'm bringing that up is that me poking around here, it could be a little triggering. There also could be just a reluctance to look at this. So if you're really open to hearing this message, maybe just swish it around in your mouth a little bit, let it land, and see if this actually is your message to begin with. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and lower ourselves down here into this energy. Okay, so your 2022, like I said, there seems to be a theme of resistance here. I think that you are resisting making some kind of big change. Now, this would be a long time in the making, and it's something that you kind of know that you should do, but I think that it may involve another person, like a very significant other here in your life. And you feel like, first of all, to make this change, you would be breaking your own heart, but you also feel like it might register as a betrayal, I think, to your own heart, to your own values, and maybe also to this other person here. Now, another thing that I really see coming up for you in 2022 is a lot of reflection. And you are definitely in your air energy whenever you're doing this reflection. So it's very logical, you're pattern finding, and you're reflecting on, I feel like, a specific moment. And maybe for those of you, especially if you're older, then I think there's maybe a couple of moments, but it's like there's a certain moment in your past, like a crossroads type of a situation. And I feel like in this moment, you were making a very big decision. And if you've got the miles behind you, I think that this moment was 20 years ago or like thereabouts. But there is something here about 20 years ago. Like I said, if you've got the miles behind you. And there's something about that time period where maybe you were very busy, you had a lot of priorities now, and you were making, like I said, some type of a big decision. And at least in hindsight, when you looking back on that time, you realize that that was a big defining moment, and in whatever choice that you did make, like it changed your destiny or something. And it totally did. And I think that for a lot of you guys, it had to do with a partner, like a significant other in your life, either business or romantic. And I think it also could have had to do with career. Now, if you're thinking about multiple moments, like as you reflect here in 2022, I feel like some of you are thinking about choosing a certain career path or choosing a certain partner or something like that. But there's these significant moments. But the key defining feature that I'm seeing happening in this moment is that it pitted your like morality or your spiritual ideals that you wanted to live up to, or goals, something like that, your inner world, it pitted that against your more material goals. Because I can see here that you are, first of all, you're a very smart person. Very, very, very smart. And you're also somebody who works incredibly hard. And especially through times of adversity, I feel like you can just really like push through the difficult times. Maybe that's a bit of a philosophy, or that's what you're thinking about these moments. But I can also see that you're a person with a lot of goals. Like you have a lot of material goals, you have a lot of spiritual goals. And you come by that very honestly, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But that would be a key defining setup about these moments here in your past that you're starting to reflect on. Now, there is resistance in letting this kind of come down into your feeling space, because I feel like you sense that this is very big, or it's very deep, or that you could be approaching some kind of a big threshold moment. And maybe it has, for some of you guys, like a reckoning. There's like some type of decision that you made that you feel like it took you down a certain path in your life, and maybe the bill is coming due in a sense, or you feel like there's a big There's a big reckoning. There's something that you kind of want to wrestle with and grapple with. Now, this resistance energy that you're feeling, and I think this is why maybe some people are going to think that this isn't their pile, is like, you may not even register that it's a type of resistance, because you have this like squaring energy to you, where your head and your heart have not been on the same page about something in a while. I think it's like, I don't know, I just get the sense that, if you did like a Freaky Friday situation where you just switched bodies with someone else randomly, that they would really feel that in you, that tension between your head and your heart. Whereas I think you've been carrying it for so long, or you've somehow logified it, you've rationalized it, and to where it's kind of like a part of you, or it's in the background now. And I feel like there's earthly things that have really like kind of settled in around it. And so I don't know, I just kind of want to like bring up your attention here. So this moment 20 years ago, I feel like this also has its roots elsewhere. Now, for others of you, this maybe goes back another 20 years, but I think it goes back to early childhood, because now I'm hearing in my mind, like, you're so-and-so's son, or you're so-and-so's daughter. I don't know. There's an energy here like that where, and I think this person is somebody that you greatly respect and you greatly admire. I'm strongly feeling like it's a father, or a parent, but I feel like it would be the parent that shares your gender and is your behavioral model, or was your behavioral model growing up. And like I said, it feels like you had like a legacy to live up to, or like really big shoes to fill, that kind of a thing. And so right there, in like that you're so-and-so's son and there's a big boots to fill, I feel like that was the moment of splitting right there. Because the version of you that you see as successful, the way that you were defining success for yourself, it was outside of you. It was external. It wasn't, and you weren't encouraged, I feel like. And this isn't to demonize your parents, because at the end of the day, I feel like at the end of the day, this is maybe encouraging you to take your parents like off of a pedestal, or just to acknowledge that like at the end of the day, we're all human and we're all just trying to figure out our way through here, doing the best that we can. And all of us do the best that we can. But I mean, that's not to say that consequence doesn't exist. It's all lumped together, right? You feel me? I'm not trying to say that, but because I think that there's a lot about this parent that is very respectable, but I feel like you were not prompted or encouraged to go your own way, or to think about how you defined success for yourself. Like on your deathbed, when you look back over your life, if you've accomplished this thing, if you've felt this way, if you've brought this kind of a feeling into your family, or this kind of feeling into the world, that's how you're going to feel successful. Instead, I feel like you were encouraged to attach an ideal to an external vision of success, which may have been cultural here as well. But I feel like there was a parent, I strongly feel it's a father, that embodied this like really, really well. And this person, I think they were very highly regarded by yourself, but also by other people. They were seen as a success on on two tiers of their life, multiple fronts. And it's the fronts that everybody wants to be good at, right? Like I'm seeing, I think this person was successful in business, and they were really good with money, and they made really good investments. And I think this person also had an eye for detail, and they made really good decisions. This person, I think people sought them out. This person is like, I think it's your parent, but take this however it's resonating. I think it was a primary caregiver. And they gave really good advice, and they were able to help people assess the details of a situation, to invest in something that was valuable, or bring their own values like to fruition, something like that. They could have even been like on the board of something charitable. I feel like this person managed money, but maybe it was like in a service-oriented capacity, and they really got things done, and they were looked upon highly for this. I also feel that this person was seen as a successful family man or family woman, successful family person. And a big part of this, at least in your mind, was like their partner that they chose. So like your other parent, because this person, they gave off a really good image. I'm starting to get a sense of like a very status conscious family, but this partner that they chose was seen as a good choice, was seen as somebody who brought in a sense of elegance or refinement, who was very intelligent, good with their words. Maybe they were also very good at managing resources, even if it was like more on the home front. And I think they were seen as very beautiful as well. And this person has a sharp mind here too. And And then of course, like their family, which I feel like was maybe you, but there was like a strong sense of expectation. So all of this is important in this reading, and I feel like you're doing a lot of reflecting here on this, because I think that you're having a moment in 2022 where you look around you, and it's not that you're not grateful or anything like that, but I feel like you're looking around you and you're seeing that there's something about your values that you feel like somehow got away from you, or you're not embodying it in the way that you want to, or you're not spending your money on the things that you want to, or you chose a certain career. Now, what you're going to realize, I think, what I'm seeing play out here is like this split really comes from that place of you not being encouraged to define your own type of success, and then having this parent who is obviously skilled at details and bringing things to fruition to people, having them like help you become successful in that arena. Like instead, I feel like it created this inner conflict. I think maybe you wouldn't have even said this out loud, and if you did, you probably got mocked or made fun of, or like you knew that, maybe like you just knew that that would happen if you said like, I want to do this career. For some of you, it's like you want to be with this type of a person, that maybe is in a different culture than you, or maybe it's LGBTQ, something like that. And you just knew that that was not going to be acceptable, or that you would be mocked or made fun of if you even brought that up. So instead, you learned to bury your own, and it's funny because like I said, you're coming off here as very, very intelligent. It's not, I don't mean that you're not smart. It's like your own curiosity about yourself, I guess. This is what this is. It has something to do with your intellect, but it's like bringing your intellect to your own choices and your decisions. Instead of making your decisions about you and what was going to build a solid, what you needed to build a solid family, what you needed to build a solid career and to feel fulfilled in that so it could be sustainable. Instead, you asked yourself what this parent would do, or what's going to look best, or what would be expected of you. And so that's where there's like, something isn't like as strong as maybe you thought it was. And I feel like as you're reflecting on this, at least at first, you think it's just like a series of little things that just chipped away over time. But then as 2022 progresses and you dip down more and more into like the deeper wells of yourself, I feel like you start to realize that there were these key decisions, these key moments. There are key people in your life, your business partner or a romantic partner, your career path, that actually set you up for these external manifestations of your inner conflict here, that head versus heart, this squaring energy. So some of you guys, like, especially if you have this road behind you, I feel like you are starting to realize that it's not just a one-off. Like, it's not just because like you have this really gung-ho, work hard, push through kind of energy, and you're starting to realize like when you push through one, it just reappears in your life. And that could be what's actually sparking this big reflective process, because you feel like you're never good enough. I think that because this family that you grew up in was very highly critical. Okay, well, they weren't trying to be critical. They were status conscious. I feel like maybe you felt nitpicked. And maybe you had especially a mother who was like always bothering like about your appearance or something, like, oh, you have a stain, or oh, you might have a Virgo moon or a Virgo Venus, some Virgo energy where you're good at picking up the details and of things. And that's how you express love, because to you, you equate that to safety. Like, okay, well, if I pay attention to my status, my image, nobody's going to make fun of me. Nobody's going to judge me. I'm going to be seen as successful. Nobody's going to challenge me. And then that's how I keep safe. That was like some sort of like a narrative that was around you and that you very much internalized. And so I think that you're starting to realize that you having this inner conflict of not living your life, like not living yourself, not bringing your own self like to fruition. And with this Pluto card here, I'm hearing that phrase that says, if you don't bring forth what's inside of you, it will destroy you. But if you do bring it forth, like it'll be the making of you. And so I feel these moments here, they have always pitted your own self or your sense of maybe morality or just happiness, security, nurturance, what you wanted to feel nice and to feel happy. it's always pitted that against your material goals, because you also want to be successful in the material world, much like this parental figure that was around you that was very highly respected and highly regarded was. You wanted both of those things for yourself. And I do think, now this is where the message is getting very specific. There is a person here around you, and it's a significant other. With this being, the Nine of Pentacles, I feel like it could be a feminine energy. And maybe this is like a relationship that you were with. This would be like 20 years ago or something. Or it could be somebody that you're with now. Or it could just be this recurring archetype here in your life of people that you meet. People who give a very good first impression. Maybe they're very beautiful. They're very well put together, very intelligent, good with their words, articulate, pay attention to detail. And in some way, they are status conscious. In some way, they are very goal-oriented and driven in the material world. But then they're also more self-focused in their relationship with you. And they kind of know how to get whatever it is that they want out of you. And I think a lot of it is by pouring salt in this wound that you have to be like this other parent. And again, I think it's gendered. So it's like, these ideas you have about what makes a good man or what makes a good woman and how you want to live up to these mantles. And so, but these people, they're really good at shoulding on you. You've ever heard that phrase, don't should on yourself? I feel like you were should upon a lot early in your life. You should do this, you should do that. And really, and it was well intentioned, I think. These people were trying to keep you safe, but it ended up disconnecting you from yourself. You stopped being curious about yourself. You stopped because you didn't feel like it mattered. You felt like you didn't have any say. You were on a train, you were on a track, you had certain expectations that you needed to live up to. So it didn't actually matter. But now that you're an adult, maybe you're reparenting yourself, or you're starting to, at least in 2022, you're starting to ask yourself questions about Venus-related things. Because that's where you feel like the turning points in your life have been. Or you will come to that realization in some way, where it's all about your values, your choices, and significant people in your life. All of those things, they add up to a lot. So it's actually not these little things. It's these bigger rocks, these bigger choices that you felt severed from an early age. And because of that, because it's rooted in early childhood, which personally I think our early childhood and the circumstances we're born into has a strong connection to past lives. It kind of like puts us in the setting that we need to be in so that when we come of age, we can start to like confront those things. I think that's something that your soul came here to confront, is maybe repaying a karmic debt to self, into something about your values, and understanding that your values lead to your choices, lead to like these certain circumstances. So there is something here though where I think that in 2022, maybe again, like there's some resistance to making this change or making a decision that you know that you need to make, because you feel like it's a betrayal to like something here. But I think if you're honest with yourself during this reflective process, you feel like no matter what you do, you never live up to a thing, like an ideal. It's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because it's like that's that externalization of this inner conflict, if that makes sense, right? Because of the values you were taught to have, and because you felt like it didn't matter if you didn't agree with them or if you did agree with them, it led you to picking certain people around you. Those people have their own agendas. They're very good at weaponizing words to pour salt in this wound that you have in order to control you the same way that your parents did. That's the similar wound. This partner, business partner, romantic partner, significant other is a manifestation of that earlier authoritative voice that I feel like a lot of you guys have internalized. And we pick partners that treat us the way we treat ourselves. So this person probably also doesn't care to get to know you individually. They probably do hold you to some kind of maybe their own or society or a cultural ideal of what a man is or what a woman is, what your role is in that situation. And it's, it's a straitjacket, as Brene Brown says, of just, for men, it's don't be perceived as weak. And for women, it's this never ending conflicting ideals of everything that you're supposed to be. But I get the sense, even if you are a man, there's a certain amount of like conflicting ideals, it's like, so I feel like one day you just woke up and you feel like there's something about your life or the values or something that you are like, that doesn't really sit right with me. I where did I go wrong? Like, I thought I did everything right. I did everything that I was supposed to do. So why does my life not look, or why does my partnership or your business? Because I feel like you skewed one way or another. Like, you either prioritize your material self or your moral self, something like this. And it's very intertwined with a partner, with a person. So what Spirit is wanting for you through the year of 2022 is for you to start getting in touch with your own intuition, with the Queen of Pentacles here. That is what's going to connect you to your unstoppable victory, is that reconnection of your own inner voice, your own intuition. There's also something about spirituality and scripture where I think that I don't know, like, there is something about it where it's more forgiving than you think it is, or something like that. Like, you're being very hard on yourself with it, but you were taught that. That's that internalized voice. But Spirit wants you to become in touch with your own intuitive voice and then have unstoppable victory. There is something here where Spirit wants you to become more independent. I feel like, and start to question this, start to argue. Now, not for the sake of arguing. I feel like there is a person around you that you need to start arguing with, at least in your mind. Just because that's going to help you start to develop exactly what you think about it, or I don't know, to kind of suss things out. And Spirit's also, we've gotten this message recently, but wanting you to just observe. Observe this person, observe how they make you feel, observe, like, I don't know, all of these different things, and start to ask yourself if this measures up to your own definition of success. Like, even if it looks like you have everything externally, do you feel successful? Do you feel like it's real? Like, okay, yes, like, you have everything. Do you feel good in your career? Do you feel good in your family life? Like, what, or do you feel like you're just kind of faking it and putting on a front? And then also connect this with this parent, because I think that this parent was, like, very admirable in many ways. I really do. And I think for most of you, they really did mean well by you. And, but I think that they had to juggle their priorities here as well. And you might not be acknowledging that. You could have bought into the hype or the zeitgeist around this person here as well, even though you lived it, because I think that might have been how detached you were encouraged to be from your own internal world, if that makes sense. So there's a certain amount of, like, independence that Spirit wants to start seeing you assert in your own inner world, in your own mental space, your own opinions and things like that. And just start really arguing and to break the mold of whatever it is that you were supposed to be. You could do this in small ways. Like, I don't feel like you're being encouraged to do this just to be oppositional, like I said, or for the sake of kicking up trouble. It's just to see, like, how this person responds if you have your own identity, or I don't know, something here like that. I do think it's going to bring a sense of success here to your life, and it really will stop this cycle where you keep manifesting these catch-22 situations where it feels like, you're going to let somebody down either way. And I think a lot of times you've just chosen to let yourself down, but then you don't show up as, like, potent or something, and then it feels like you're lugging a big weight behind you, and you wonder why you're not making the progress in certain arenas of your life that you want to. So I think in 2022, I still think that you are sticking to, like, these family values. You're still doing the same thing that you've been doing, where you're trying to hold these, like, your two expectations of yourself. But you're starting to realize that something's out of balance. I think you feel lopsided. That might be, like, actually in your body. Maybe you'd like to get adjusted or something like that. Go to the chiropractor, get a massage, something like that, or just some body work to help you make this adjustment. But I think you're going to start to realize that you feel out of balance. You feel like one of these things has taken priority over another. I feel like over the course of 2022, you're going to become more and more detached from the material goings on here in your life. Like, maybe, I feel like you guys are very spiritual. However you relate to that, like, there's a sincerity. You're no hypocrite in regards to, like, your spirituality. There's nothing surface level about your spirituality. You really do have a desire to live like a good moral life, however you define that for yourself. And you want to be in alignment with that. And you're not sure if if you could be doing more or if you are living up to that. And all of this is leading to this new beginning with the Ace of Cups. But I feel like there does need to be a difficult decision made where you feel like you need to let somebody down. But I feel like the key to understanding this is that this energy of betrayal is already here. It's really just a choice of like, are you going to continue to betray yourself and like you have done since childhood, and it's kind of become this expected pattern, this well-worn neural groove within yourself, or in order to, keep the image, of the family. I feel like, yeah. And so maybe you have taken this into your own family life or into a workspace, where you don't get to be individuals, you don't get to be people, that kind of thing. Or are you going to let somebody else down by saying like, I don't want this, or this isn't who I am, or why isn't it okay for me to be who I am? Something like that. And I feel like I also want to say this because this to me is like a very potent image. Okay, I'm hearing communion. So I feel like there's something here about forgiveness, like self-forgiveness. And I want to be careful with my words here in this pile in particular, because like I said, I feel like this could be potentially very triggering. This is deeply buried psychological material. And I think that you've been should upon enough in your life where even when people are not being critical towards you, it might feel like they are, Or like if somebody points something out to you that there's an assumption that it means you should take a certain type of action because that's what it meant in your childhood. Your mom might just say like, oh, it's, I don't know, like, it's black tie tonight, and maybe you just were looking nice, but you weren't dressed up like that. And so you just automatically knew you needed to go change your clothes. Maybe that's a bad example, but you see what I'm saying, where it wasn't direct. There were just like little kind of observant kind of critical things said like, oh, are you wearing that? And you knew what that meant. And so it made you incredibly self-conscious. So you learned how to be self-conscious and to doubt yourself and to wonder if, I think that you might be a person, if you start doing this deep diving, where like, you ever realize you can have a wrong opinion? You know what I mean? When somebody asks you about like, your own opinion and they're like, no, that's the wrong opinion. You might wonder to yourself, like, is that the right opinion? Is that the wrong opinion? And it's like, well, it's just your opinion. Like, what's your favorite flower? Like, there's not a wrong answer to that. But then maybe there was in your early childhood home. Where it's like, only this kind of person likes that flower. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize, like, here I was liking that flower all along, something like that. But you knew that wasn't actually you. That description didn't actually fit you or something like that, But you took it on as your identity and you're starting to wrestle with this a little bit more. But whatever pattern this is, I do feel like it's old. And I feel like a big way that you're going to start with this healing is to start being very compassionate with yourself, to start to observe these patterns as they go on or as they play out. They seem harmless. They seem innocuous. And they're deeply embedded. Like I said, I feel like this squaring resistance energy, you're pretty used to it by now. It feels like that's how life is supposed to be lived. And maybe you attribute a certain level of success to behaving this way. And I want to say this one thing though, because I want to say that I think a lot of you guys, maybe you do resonate with having more of an avoidant type attachment style, fearful avoidant or dismissive avoidant. I'm strongly feeling fearful avoidant though for this pile because you do look like a switch hitter to me, which is what a fearful avoidant is. Sometimes they present as anxious and other times they present as very dismissive. And I'm saying that because I feel like the switch hit function where like how you could, I don't know, you can jump over to one side or the other to kind of avoid a situation or something like that. It contributes to this perseverance, this like very long-term cycle that has gone on. And it's registering here as a type of stubbornness, but you might have been like telling yourself that it's necessary and that it's a perseverance thing and that you can just push through anything. And Spirit is saying work smarter, not harder here. The Spirit is wanting you to encourage you to pull back, to start listening to your own inner world, to start arguing with this person, at least in your mind, of like, well, what if that's not right? What if I think this instead? To break whatever mold this is, to not to go to your safe like neural groove space, to actually have like inner dialogue with yourself where you're deliberating and you're figuring out like if you agree or if you don't agree. Because I think you feel around this person, whether it's a business partner, I think there's love and money involved here. So maybe there's two different strings of this, or somehow it's connected. But it just didn't really matter what you wanted to do. I feel like that's a deep wound that you have. So why even bother? It's just going to cause problems for you. But that's really the situation that's causing the most problems. Because even if you've got to make a difficult decision, once you make it, you'll be free of it. And I think it's going to feel better for you. You're going to open up a lot of possibilities for yourself. The world's going to feel a lot freer and a lot bigger. And maybe you find more space for yourself even within this relationship. But I get a strong spiritual vibe from this. It kind of carries over the vibe of like healing, definitely, and sannyasa. Some of you might choose to take a trip somewhere where you're alone. But what I mean by sannyasa is like there's a tradition in India, especially for males, well, exclusively for males. I think it would be quite dangerous to do it otherwise. But where like once they've taken care of their familial obligations, they strip naked, they don't take any money with them, and they just wander around, and people will like give them food and give them like money, pay for their bus tickets as a way of honoring them and like giving back to them so that they can pursue their own spirituality. I feel like this Ace of Cups, for some of you guys, this will be a new love that is coming into your life, and it's going to break the mold of this pattern, right? Of this person you always feel kind of snowed by. Oh my gosh, they look perfect. Just like my parents, they're status conscious. They're very smart, eloquent, intelligent. They're very, what have you. And then they end up being able to just like manipulate you. They're more about themselves, like, or about getting money, or maybe they wanted money from you. They wanted some sort of money from you or status from you. And then you're good. But this is going to be a new pattern with the Ace of Cups. There's going to be something genuine because you're connecting with that genuine part of yourself that you were taught to shut down, if that makes sense. So 2022, it's a year of, this to me looks like intense energy. I think for you, it might feel quite numb at the beginning, or you feel like you're in your logical mind. And here's like the thing that I've been kind of trying to work my way up to is I feel like you're gonna know that you're really making progress on this, and that you're actually starting to dip into something really deep, that deep reservoir that really wants to be punctured. And I do think that a lot of you, I think you're hiding psychic gifts from yourself. Some of you are very psychic and you don't know. But you sense that it's like if you have a particular thought, or if you admit something to yourself where you're like, yo, this isn't working. And like it is what it is. It's not working. And I guess maybe I approached this wrong in the past, but the time to change it was in the past. Do you know what I mean? I wish that I would have seen this, and being very compassionate with yourself, because we all have to learn lessons here. And just saying like, I wish I would have seen this then, but this is the plant that grew from that root, and I kind of have to just take responsibility and do the best that I can now. And moving forward, do the best that I can. But I can't save it from this point in time. Do you know what I mean? Like, all I can do is continue this negative pattern. And you'll know that you're really starting to hit some good pay dirt with this if you cry. Or if you have like emotions. Because I think for a lot of you, you have this moat of air, this protective air bubble around you. You really protect this with a series of mental gymnastics. And I think a lot of it is internalized shoulding, right? Like, don't should on yourself. You should do this. You have this expectation. I feel like you have this like series of endless expectations that you feel like you need to measure up to, instead of just saying like, I'm just one person and I'm doing the best I can. I have good intentions. I know that about myself. Sometimes I've got to let other people down. But other people have a responsibility to themselves too. Like, I can't just run around putting out fires for everybody. Yeah. I think you might read people very well. And if you're like, no, I don't. Well, you will when you start to connect with this space within yourself. I feel like you're gonna feel a loss of identity. Like if you really throw yourself into this healing process, because this energy is freeing up, it's available for you to tap into right now. And I feel like if you do, I feel like you could sense a loss of identity. But and some of you guys might be a minimalist or like get rid of a lot of your possessions or something. It's reminding me of this guy I read about in one of the John Perkins books, where he was like this high-powered hotshot lawyer in Europe, and he just got sick of it one day. He's like, why am I doing this to myself? And he just like went and lived in a mountain, like in a hovel in a mountain in the Andes, and meditated every single day. He like stared at one single flower on a bush for like months on end. Some of you guys are going to do that or something like that, or you want to, or you think about it. But I feel like maybe you're keeping this a secret in the future. And yeah, you've kind of achieved a type of perfection in the way that you manage this inner conflict that you have. Very, very like deeply rooted. And I just want to keep giving you a bunch of self-love, like encouraging you down the path of being gentle with yourself, being your own best friend, being understanding, being compassionate, allowing yourself a nuanced perspective, right? Like, okay, I'm going to question this about this significant person in my life, and it doesn't mean that I'm betraying them, right? But within the confines of my own sanctum, my own inner sanctum, I'm free to have whatever thoughts I want and to do my own due diligence for myself. Something like that. Some of you feel like you're going to come up against resistance. Yeah. But the truth, I feel like, again, is going to come back. And I think you're going to start to realize that there's a certain way that you're thinking about something or approaching something, these big crossroad moments in your life, that if you approached it differently, you would get a different outcome. Because before, I think that you were like, oh, I'm just going to push through it. I mean, you're a good person to know, pile number one. I feel like you really, I just want to say this. Some of you guys think you're manifesting, but you're really doing it like grunt work. You're doing it the hard way. I just feel like when this snaps into place, you're going to be like a magician. You're going to be unstoppable, and you're going to achieve some type of success. And I feel like it's material success or something that you wanted, and it's success in a relationship in the way that you wanted. But the key is you, and it has been all along. And I feel like there's something here about family, tradition, expectation that you are finally feeling strong enough to confront. And I feel like that's something to be celebrated. That you've met your deficiency needs to a place where you can even like start to consider these things. So that's what I have for you guys, pile number one. Like I said, this looks intense to me, but it probably is going to feel kind of numb to you or very logical. Some of you guys, maybe it's like you're journaling or you're reading your old journals from the past. Some of you guys, if it's weird for you, to get in the habit of starting to ask yourself these questions, they make journals with like certain prompts, like that deconstructive journal or something. Or you could take a philosophy class or a psych class or something like that, or read a certain book of like self-discovery. But I feel like that might actually be really helpful. But I feel like you're very self-contained. And you might actually start to indulge a fantasy that you have of living like a non-traditional life in some way, or being with a non-traditional partner in some way. And I feel like that's, again, like very, very good. It's going to help you manifest something different for yourself. And not for all of you do you need to get rid of this person. Maybe this person's putting on a show too. And if you're honest, that won't be for everybody, but like if you're honest, then it gives this person permission to let go as well. So yeah, that's what I have for you guys, pile number one. If that resonated, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'm wishing you guys a happy and productive 2022. Bye guys. Oh my gosh. Pile number 2. Yes. Yes. This is so beautiful. Oh man, I cannot wait to tell you what is in these cards. So, 2022 for you looks like a year of success. I think a lot of you guys are actually, you're manifesting your dreams. Not in a way where I think you feel that you have just this windfall of success, but you feel like you are getting some kind of recognition, some kind of credit. You look very creative. So I don't know if you, like, I think you have some type of skill or talent in the arts. Maybe some of you are actors or actresses. I think musicians is a strong one here. And also this could be people who are very spiritual or strong like reader energy as well, which I know a lot of readers do have like many artistic or creative talents. So you are really growing in 2022, and you've been on this journey for a hot minute. I think that the last couple of years has been a struggle for you to find yourself, and the reason I'm getting that is because in pile number 1, which there was some heavy energies over there, but a lot of these cards that you're getting, it almost looks to me like these cards could be superimposed over the cards that were in pile number 1. So I think maybe a lot of you have gone through the process I was talking about there, which was all about asking yourself what it is that you want, who you are as an individual, where you want to go with your life, and having the courage to like take some steps towards this. I think that for a lot of you guys, you've started to do that. It hasn't always been easy, but you have been steady pushing at it, and the energies in your life are starting to switch around. I'm hearing like critical mass. You're reaching some kind of critical mass within yourself where and I think this has a lot to do with your inner dialogue as well. It's almost like there are these niggling doubts or like some kind of imposter syndrome, or maybe even perfectionism here for some of you. I know that's a big one for creative types, where you can obsess about the quality or the perfection of your work before you put it out there, because once you put it out there, it's out there. But I'm really seeing this, and I think you'll come to this realization over the course of 2022 in your own time. And what I mean by come to this realization, I mean you're going to prove it to yourself over and over and over and over again until it just becomes your new muscle memory with your inner dialogue that you are not an imposter, that you actually are talented, that you are going somewhere, that if you make even just a little mistake, or if there's one, sorry that I'm using all these creative like examples, but say, I don't know, there was like, you felt like something was in the wrong chord or something, but you had released the song, like, still it's a net win. People aren't nitpicking you the way that you're nitpicking yourself. Most people aren't. Now, this song, Madeline Bailey, The Best Way to Deal with Hate. I feel like some of you guys should just play that song on repeat, because you know how they say whenever you do something magical or powerful in the world that you just attract attention, right? All kinds of attention, good attention and bad attention. But I feel like the messaging in that song, it's almost verbatim what I feel like these cards are saying to you. You're on the road to success. Watch out for trolls. Don't get depressed. Learn to be bold. Haters gonna hate. Tester's gonna test. But you continue your journey because you're the best. So just the big thing is just keep going with this. I feel like it's starting to move. And if everything doesn't just move all at once, overnight, you're on the cover of Rolling Stone by the end of the year. Even if it's not that, just allow yourself to be filled up. Allow yourself to go with this process and to learn the lessons that you're learning, to overcome yourself. This is a self-mastery kind of a pile. And the more that you master yourself, the more success you're going to have out in the external world, because you're going to be able to be bold. You're going to be able to just put yourself out there and be different. Don't be afraid to be different and to break the mold here in some way. And also remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint. Now, I feel like for a lot of you guys, I think you're getting your work out there, because Neptune for me rules over cameras. And then you've got the Magician, which is a skill. I think there's a technical skill here that you're mastering, and you are, there's an aspect here where you're learning something and then sharing it, or incorporating it and then sharing it out to the world. And it's this pump with you. You're learning, and with the King of Swords here in your future, I feel like a lot of you are becoming experts in your craft, almost like technical experts, if that makes sense. You know yourself, you know your process, and you know exactly why you're doing the things that you're doing, that type of thing. Now, I get this sense that in your past, you were trying to outrun something, or that's how you had approached your process, if that makes sense, where some kind of storm with the Strength card. And that might be contributing to some of your imposter syndrome, where some of you guys might be having like a lot of self-doubt, even though you're seen as successful. And I just want to keep reminding you of that. Like, but I just feel like there's this energy here where you feel this imposter syndrome where it's like, okay, well, I know that, I'm Jenny from the block, and people are going to find out that I'm Jenny from the block, and that the last 3 years, my heat was off and I was freezing to death and I had to eat ramen noodles. And I got to tell you what, that's in the past. And bless it and thank it for making you, that building your internal engine the way that it had. Because I'm almost just maybe like, I just want to remind you about the movie The Butterfly Effect. Not that I've seen it in a while, but it does exist. And like that whole concept of if one little thing were changed, then something else could be changed. And I feel like the person that I'm seeing you growing into and becoming is just such a beautiful and worthwhile person. And so it's like, bless it and thank it. Because listen, let me tell you, if eating a cup of ramen noodles is your secret sauce, then we should all know about it. You know what I mean? If ramen is the key, if the block is the key, then we all should know about it, because this has really helped to grow and mold and shape you into this beautiful powerhouse of a person. You're different, you stand out, you're special, and it shows the way you're smiling and glowing. I think for a lot of you, you do have a type of glow to you. Now, I don't feel that you're going to feel very balanced though in the year 2022, especially not up front, because I think there's like these remnants, this ghost of your past that are still kind of running the script. They are kind of running the tape. And for some of you guys, I'm just getting this really strong, that movie Inside Out, where, you've got joy and anger and sadness. It might actually help you to label these different voices in your head. Like, my mom actually used to make us do this with our angry self. Like we all had, I remember my sister's was Matilda because I used that name more than her first name. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. I meant that as being funny. But like that way we could identify it and like talk about it. And it also gave us like a safe distance from it. So it wasn't like I was talking bad about myself. I got to know, whenever I saw that different aspect, I could name it, So, and I think that some of you guys might want to do that with like your fear, your self-doubt, like, oh, so you can recognize it's just this old tape. I'm hearing moaning myrtle. Some of you guys might have a moaning myrtle that lives within you. That's just always lives in the bathroom. I don't know what that means metaphorically. Maybe whenever you're like in the shower, all of your fears come up. But if they come up, just rinse them down the drain. That's for somebody. Anyways, yeah, just being able to identify like, oh, that's that voice again. And then that way you can invite a different voice to come forward, if that makes sense. But yeah, I feel like you feel off kilter and off balance at the beginning of the year. And I think that you worked hard to achieve some type of balance, but this success in your life might tip it, because I think there are more demands on your time. I'm seeing invitations to events here. So a lot of you might get invitations to events to learn things for one, but then maybe also to share your talent. Maybe this is you're playing a concert, or you're doing like an artistic venue, or you're invited to be a part of like a charity event, because you're looked upon as a teacher in whatever it is that you do, because I think that you understand your craft really well, or at least you're giving that impression. Some of you are like, no, I absolutely don't understand my craft very well. Well, you know what? Whatever it is, it's like working for you. And people are starting to really notice this. And I'm just seeing like this is you, where there's like, you're starting to flower, you're starting to bud, and people really do take notice. So I feel like some of you guys, I don't know, like maybe you are going to hit a level of success where you need to consider getting like somebody to help you plan or schedule out your time or something like that. Or just to sit down and you spend time doing that. Because I feel like by the end of the year, like I'm just seeing that at the beginning of the year, you're trying to outrun this tornado, whatever it is, some kind of cloud, or feeling like your past is going to catch up with you in some way. But then as you start to grow in your own strength, in your own individuality, as you're learning how to be bold with yourself, then you are the one that ends up having control over this. You're kind of, to me, it almost looks like she's moving this around wherever she wants to move it through gaining craft and skill set here. I also see you sifting through information. So I feel like some of this information is hazy, and maybe it comes from people or teachers in some way that are more fantasy based or more like fantastical. And I do kind of want to say that because there's these ghosts or these remnants, it's almost like, you know, this is why you had to do the work in pile number 1 before you could really get here, because there could be a danger of falling prey to some kind of like fantasy element, you know, fantasy narrative, or like buying into a fantasy and trying to further that, whereas you're taking actual like actionable steps. But I feel like you're sifting through this information. You're very clarifying. There's also a sense that you tap into the zeitgeist in some type of way. So if you're writing songs, or if you, this also could be a reader. Like as I'm getting this, I mean, this is a highly spiritual energy, right? With the magician on his table. So some of you are readers. I know so many of us are readers, and we read for like one another. So if you are doing that, like I'm seeing somebody channeling messages, but even like it really is landing, it's hitting home. You're learning how to trust your intuition here in that way. You're getting good feedback. And I also feel though, even if you're not a reader, it's like if you're writing songs or you're doing something artistic and you're not sure if the message that you're infusing into your work is going to land with people, it really, really does in the year 2022, because you're hitting a nerve, right? You're tapping into a nerve. And I heard the word triggered when I said that, like you're hitting a nerve. So some people, you're hitting, oh yeah, Ace of Swords, truth. You're hitting some kind of truth here for people. And the way people relate to truth is impersonal to you. I just want to go ahead and throw that out there. The way, and this reminds me of a quote that I heard in I was listening to some speech. I can't remember off the top of my head where I heard it, but I think it might have been Russell Brand, but he was saying something like, one day I just realized that people were, their responses, their reactions, right? Especially their hairpinned, quick trigger reactions to me or to what I was putting out there had more to do with their own level of consciousness. And I feel like you're coming out as the Ace of Swords. So you're hitting a nerve, you're clarifying something, you're being very direct about something as well. And you could be helping other people to cut through their own fantasy elements, you know? I'm so sorry I keep going back to the music industry example, but it's like, it's reminding me of that interview with Taylor Swift on the Vogue, the 70 Questions. And they asked her, you know, what advice would you give to aspiring musicians? And she said, get a good lawyer, right? Just cutting right through the fantasy of, oh, I'm going to move to the city and I'm going to just put myself out there, not realizing that there's going to be people who want to steal your work or try to take advantage of you or discredit you, or that it's highly competitive. It's like, get in there, get a good lawyer. She just cut right through that fantasy. So some of you guys, especially if you're teaching your craft or something, you could say something and somebody will be like, no, in my fantasy, in my dream, I just moved to New York City. I make a mixtape, even though we're way beyond tapes now. And I'm gonna live Coyote Ugly, you know, or whatever it is, like, and you're really bringing people back from this fantasy. But the fact I just feel like I want to say that to you. You're hitting a nerve, and people, the way that people's own relationship with truth is one that they need to nurture and keep healthy in and of themselves. That's not something that you should take on. I think you're realizing this more and more and more, that you just focus on your craft, you focus on what you're doing, and it's distinguishing you, because Spirit wants you to know that you have a higher cup. And I feel like this is in love here as well, or in your relationships. A lot of you, there's a side message that wants to come out as well. For some of you, this is very specific. Where I feel like you're very boundaried because you have this dragon energy. Okay. This is for all of you, actually. I'm going to work my way up to something. I want to say other things I'm realizing. You have this dragon energy that's around you. And I'm hearing like it's within, you're bringing out the dragon within. So it could be an aspect of self where you are strong and you are, capable of like protection and defending. But for others of you, you have a dragon type person. This could be a person born in the year of the dragon, that are protecting you. They are around you. They are a type of like soul protector. And you have like a lot of 18 energy here, 1-8, 1-8. And that to me, it's a very, very protective energy. So keep in mind that you are protected by spirit as you move through this in the year 2022. I think that you still have to deal with this energy, right? Because it's just part of our world. It is what is around. And I think that a lot of you, you're building your own spiritual muscle. You're getting very tempered and very used to this. And you're so that you can truly flex that muscle and change your own inner dialogue, the way that you're relating to the criticisms that you get, realizing that, again, people have a certain responsibility for how they hear the world around them, how they relate to truth. The other thing is, like, while we're talking about Madeline Bailey and her song, The Best Way to Deal with Hate, she has, I think, 3 songs about where she's made them from hate comments that she gets in her videos. And it's so beautiful and great. And, it just reminds you that no matter how good you are, anything, there's going to be people that don't appreciate it or don't relate to it the same way as you. And that's totally fine as well. One of the best pieces of advice that I've ever heard about how to understand that concept is to think of your favorite book and go to Amazon, type it in, go to the reviews and look at the 1-star reviews and read what people say about your favorite book, something that you feel like is a masterpiece and is brilliant, where you just feel like people don't get it and people don't appreciate it. And just to understand that even if your favorite author who wrote your favorite book and you couldn't even believe that something like that could come out of a human being, even if like people didn't get it or they depreciated their value, that some people are going to depreciate yours and it doesn't have any bearing on the matter, because spirit, you're coming through as like a valuable person here. So, there's also this synergistic energy. So these invitations to events and things, I think a lot of you guys are going to have opportunities to maybe work with people, collaborate with people, and that's going to bear a lot of fruit here as well. I also think that there's a synergy between your masculine and feminine side. There's a synergy between you and the external world. There's like you're pinging energy back and forth, this beautiful conversation, and it's building you and it's making both of you stronger. And like whatever it is, if it's an energy or if it's a person. Now, okay, like I said before, and I kind of wanted to backtrack a little bit, but you have a higher cup in love, like in love matters, in relationships, because you cut through fantasy. And you'll notice like a theme in our culture, because a lot of us were raised on fairy tales, that so many people will attribute strong love to fantasy, but you attribute strong love to truth and getting to the heart of the matter. And that's why you make such traction, I think, in your love life. Because I think a lot of you guys, I think you've left a person behind now. It doesn't have to be a romantic person, but there is somebody here who is trying to get to you. There's a certain person, and they're showing up as the Knight of Wands. And they really want your attention, but this person is running into many obstacles. First of all, you seem to be very focused in on whatever it is that you're doing. Whereas before, I feel like you were closed off and you were very anxious. But you found your balance here in the past, which was beautiful. But you're going to feel off balance again, because you just have a lot more going on. So this person is actually trying to figure out how to get back in. But look at your dragon. Your dragon's down here. You've got a mountain. You've got a storm. They're running into many, many obstacles. So they can't quite get through. Maybe you put those obstacles in their path on purpose. And this person, yeah, they're seeing you or something like that. But yeah, so I just wanted to mention that. I know it's like a weird side message and that won't be for everyone, but there is somebody who's from your past and who's trying to get back in. They like try to get in and then they move away. They can't figure out how to get past certain person, people, places, things, nouns in general. Yeah. So spirit is wanting you. Another thing here is spirit wants you to keep your beautiful heart intact, because you are a very loving, very caring person. And that part of you doesn't need to be accessible to everyone, I think is a big lesson here, because you have this moon and Cancer energy where I think a lot of you guys, you feel spirit is reminding you to make your home, like where you live. And I'm hearing home is where the heart is, but make sure you have like a type of home. Even if it's like an inner space that you access where you can allow your beautiful heart energy to show, because some of you are being encouraged as well to develop more of an external persona where you don't have to let everybody in to your vulnerable space, especially like this haterade energy, because that'll, if you really pour your heart into something and it's just out there on your sleeve. I'm hearing this quote from a song. It's like, wear your heart up on your sleeve, so watch out for pickpockets. Some of you guys want to watch out for pickpockets because and develop more of that like cold empathy when you're dealing with crowds or something like that, where you're connecting and you're aware and you're present, but that you are also holding up your own responsibility to care for your own beautiful, beautiful heart space, because you are like almost all heart. And I feel like there's something growing from your heart, like in a good way. Some of you are like, ugh. No, in a good way, in a metaphorical way. And like, I can't say this enough. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And you have to keep in mind that you're starting a new cycle. And I feel like I just keep coming back to this idea that it's your inner dialogue. Like there's ghosts of your inner dialogue past where you've internalized a lot of criticism or a lot of anxiety, or you needed to protect yourself. And now you're learning how to emerge from your shell, and it's beautiful. And you're stepping into your own individuality. Don't feel like you have to follow a certain pattern or anything. Just, really don't compete with anyone, because the Queen of Wands, I feel like some people might try to compete with you or pull on your energy, but you're not really interested in that. And Spirit is saying, don't get sucked into anything like that. You just compete with yourself or master yourself. Love yourself. Don't only compete with yourself, but you get what I'm saying. The Queen of Wands is someone who has mastered the suit of wands, which rules over competition. So she's kind of above competition. And like, where you're not interested in competing with other people for who is the best this, you just want to be you, I think. And that is such a place of power. And a big part of this is just boundaries, keeping yourself boundaried here as well. I can see a lot of you guys have a lot of projects, a lot of visions, like you're dreaming big. Whatever your dreams are, they're requiring you to get practical skills in the material world, many of them, multiple of them. So I don't consider myself artistic, so I don't really know like what that would be, but it's almost like if something about like getting your work out there, getting a teacher to help you get your work out there, something where like, I don't know, say that you are a musician or something and you want to start a YouTube channel. Well, now all of a sudden you got to learn about cameras and filming and editing and that darn YouTube algorithm that just changes all the time and nobody even knows what it is. So, things like that. It's like there's so many aspects of it that you might not be realizing, but you are, I think, very good at picking up skills and just learning whatever that is, to the point where I feel like you learn things and then you can teach them, like lickety split. You can get down to the heart of it and then you can turn around and teach it here to somebody else. There could be something at the end of the year where you're, like I said, you're getting offers to do events or shows or something like that. And King of Swords here, make sure you get a contract on that, and that you ask. You can pull in a lawyer or somebody who can help you, but make sure that if you have an agreement, then make sure it's in writing. Don't be stupid. Hear Taylor Swift in your mind. If you're going to be a good musician, if you want to work in the creative field or maybe the spiritual arts, there's no excuse to let your guard down in like making sure you're going to get paid for the work that you do or something like that. Make sure you put systems in place, and hold to that. Wherever you decide your boundaries are, like definitely hold to that. And for some of you guys, hold on. Yeah, some of you guys, like, I don't know, there could be a person that you live with that loves you very much and you're like really busy, and it's just warning you that that relationship might feel swept under the rug. So just taking time to like have coffee together or to go see a movie or, there's somebody here who wants to give you their love and you have so much on your plate. So just, I don't know if you can work that in where, yeah, because some of you guys with boundaries, it's like if you set a hard boundary of like, you're not going to think about work after 5, it really is just going to nourish your spirit here as well to help you grow. So It looks like a beautiful year for you guys, pile number 2, where you are making a lot of progress. You are seen and celebrated as someone who is truthful, who is clarifying, who is on their way to some kind of success, who is growing. I don't think people quite see what you had to push through in yourself. With this synergy card, I'm getting that the last couple of years you were pushing out of the seed, you were pushing through some dirt, and now you're just starting to see the little buds on your tree start growing. So remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And remember that these little sproutlings, they were not an isolated incident, that you've been working towards this, and this is the fruits of your labor, and that you just keep right on going, and that's going to keep right on, showing. And yeah, I feel like, there's people who like try to compete with you or try to come at you, but they're showing up as the knight and you're showing up as the queen. So I feel like that's really promising here. You're so creative, pile number 2, really, really creative. I feel like, I feel like some of you guys, the truth might actually be coming out about you, about who you are, and like your talents or something. Like maybe you've kept your talent to yourself or something, but it's starting to come out, and there's something about you getting the credit. But some of you are worried that people are just going to find out that you're Jenny from the block, and that they're going to use that to discredit you. But you got the stuff. And when you got the stuff, you got the stuff, You could have crawled out from a swamp and you would still have the stuff. It doesn't mean anything. So I also feel like some of you guys are dressing a lot more elegantly, and you're growing, you're glowing, you are maybe doing your hair more or something, but you're pulling things together in such a holistic way, in a way that is uniting your head, your hands, and your heart. So yeah, pile number 2, this is so beautiful. You really do have a year of success ahead of you. I just want you to know that your inner dialogue and maybe perfectionism tendencies, imposter syndrome tendencies, they're still going to be there. They're still going to creep up, but I feel like they're having less sway over you than they did in the past. But I just want you to know that the snapshot of you, it looks really, really beautiful. And you might also get in the habit of comparing yourself to your own vision and your own dream. You're right, because I think you're dreaming really big. And so it might lead you to discrediting your own self, where you've internalized some of that criticism of like, oh, look, I only have 2 leaves on my plant and I want to have a full tree. Well, it's going to take some time to grow, and you're well on your way. And that's something to be celebrated and nurtured within you, So, Madeline Bailey, the best way to deal with hate, just have that one handy. So if you start to get a little bit down, you have that reminder there. So that's what I have for you guys, pile number 2. If that resonated, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Bye guys. Interesting. Okay, well, actually, sorry, pile 3. But okay, wow, fascinating. So I actually think that what is coming for you in 2022 is exactly what just happened to me. Where I was almost gonna say, like, I feel like such a Gemini right now because we follow our curiosity, and that's what I was doing. Like, I was just very interested in these cards all of a sudden, and then I kept pulling them and it was interesting, and I kept getting curiouser and curiouser and curiouser, and I just had to pull this card and this card and this card, and I feel like that is you. That's you in 2022. You're following your curiosity. You're like Alice following the white rabbit down the rabbit hole. And one thing that's like coming through really strong for me at first is that this actually is leading you through a path. It is a singular, cohesive path, but it's not gonna feel that way whenever you're living it, especially at the beginning of the year. I actually feel that the beginning of the year could be kind of rocky for you. And we'll explain more about this like as we progress. But the reason I want you to know this is a singular path and it is leading you somewhere is because the path is Geminian. And Gemini energy, like they tend to have a lot of very eclectic interests that don't seem like they are connected to one another. Gemini is like that busy bee energy that is curious and it goes from flower to flower. And just by following that, its natural nature, it ends up pollinating all of the flowers. And we are learning as a species now how important that is to growing things, right? Growth. So I feel like you're going to get to the end of 2022 and you're going to look back on it and realize that your life and different areas of your life has really been pollinated in this beautiful way. I feel like you're preparing for some kind of holistic growth. It must be with this Geminian energy because, like I said, I feel like you're following your interests and I feel like if you were just to use your logical mind about it, to go after some of these things that you want, because I see this as leading you somewhere, right? And it seems to be to a choice. And I feel like you know what this choice is because you dance around it. You move up to it, then you pull back. You move up to it, and then you pull back. But it has more of an impulsive quality to it where it's almost like the interest, the curiosity, the drive, the desire to do something about this, whatever this is, finally, whatever it is you think that it could change your life, and it can. But it's like it all builds up and then you all of a sudden try to, like you just wake up one day and you're like, I'm actually going to take some action towards that today. And you do it. But then I feel like either you run out of steam or you don't get the results that you wanted, or you bump up into this place of the unknown in executing whatever choice this is here for yourself. And for some of you guys, I think this is a choice and it impacts career for a lot of you, but it seems like it's whatever this is, it would require you to embrace your shadow self or like aspects of soul retrieval. That's what 2022 is for you. Yes, it's soul retrieval. Whatever this big thing is, it requires you to go and retrieve different parts of yourself, become the bride of Osiris, become Isis, start to put together different things. For some of you guys, this is like a cross-disciplinary approach to healing, but I feel like a big aspect of your healing is just to follow your curiosity, because my goodness gracious, your curiosity as a human being is literally rolling off of these cards. Like it's so thick in the air, I feel like I could just chew it. In a good way, pile 3, in a good way. So I also feel though that you are very pragmatic, you're really realistic, and you've devoted a lot of your life to this. Again, a very beautiful thing. I feel like you've really applied your curiosity to very pragmatic, realistic pursuits. You have probably a good mind for problem solving, and you understand how things in the material world work. And if you don't understand it, you can find it out. Probably with your hands. You're a very physical person, a very action-oriented person. That's something that you're going to be reminded of in the year 2022 here as well, because I feel like for a lot of you guys, at the beginning of the year, you seem like you're really in your mind, and that's fine. That's beautiful. That's great. I feel like it's a new type of curiosity that you've discovered, right? But I just want to remind you that you are an action-oriented person, and that whenever you take action, whenever you create movement, which might be difficult, but if you get your stride under you, then it snaps in a type of intuition for you. And that intuition then turns and manifests itself as luck. And I feel like 2022 is your runway where not only are you pollinating different areas of your life, but you are building up that action, that intuition within you so that you can take potent action here to do something that I feel like you've been wanting to do. And it may have to do with communication. I think, okay, here's another thing. Sorry, this feels disjointed, but with this Gemini energy, and I am a Gemini, like it might be something we've got to like navigate together here for this reading. But I feel like for a lot of you, some of you need to hear me say and remind you, a little pick me up from the universe, that you are an interesting person. You are fabulous. You are curious. You're fascinating, and people like you. Because I feel like some of you guys are telling yourself a lie, and I don't want to discredit like your concerns around something here, but I feel like you're telling yourself that you're bad in conversation or you don't have very good social skills. You do actually. It's almost like a hidden talent, but it's buried, and all of this is kind of like united together, and I'm hoping that you're going to stick with me through this reading so that I can help kind of show you how all of these things pull together. But it is a falsehood that you are not good in conversation or that people don't like you in conversation, because I think for some of you guys, you have a habit of almost absorbing the quality, the vibration, the energy of your context, your atmosphere, your environment. And I actually, again, think this is very nuanced, your energy here, because there's so many good things that come from your habits, like your just habitual patterns, the way you are, but starting to sever out, like when it tips over and it's no longer in balance, I feel like is going to be a big thing for you as well. In the year 2021. So that's what I'm saying around, I think like you have this habit of taking on the qualities of your environment. So probably strong empathy here, especially when you're active. But it's like, and I think that you've gotten places here in the past from doing this because you're able to identify what's going on and then you take responsibility for it. So then you can fix things, and you can change things to benefit you and to benefit others. So it's really great when things are going really well. This to me does look like a childhood wound where maybe you had adults that were overburdened or made you responsible for things that were in your environment or just out of your control, and you didn't want to be a problem, so you instead wanted to be a solution or help to solve a bunch of problems around. Like, I think this comes from a really good place. But then when things go bad and when there's legitimate variables that are outside of your control, you still take that on and you tell yourself that you're a problem or that you're the problem, when really there's something about like the context, or sometimes it's just, it's not the right context for something. And I feel like this is where exploring your curiosity is actually going to help you in an unexpected way, because for a lot of you guys, like because of this, because you might feel like you come off the wrong way in communication or something like that, then you might actually be quiet in a lot of situations or tell yourself that you're bothering people, that kind of a thing. But this is where, like, when you start to explore your interests, I feel like niche groups will be very helpful for you in 2022, where you get around people who share your interests. Because I think that a lot of you guys might be quiet and people might think that you're quiet or you're stoic, or maybe you have like RBF or something like that. And in reality, you're a very chatty person when you get around things that you like. And people, when you start to talk in those environments and circumstances and groups, then people really do light up. They find you interesting. Your wisdom, your experience, it comes through and it sparks people's interests. And you're looked upon as very sociable, as like kind of a standard or something. And I feel like this is going to be really beneficial in you looking at yourself in a different way, but also encouraging this soul retrieval process of nurturing your shadow attributes to come to life here. Okay, now there's also something here about a type of confidence, and then I'm going to jump down into the bulk of the reading where we're describing this process a little bit more, but there is something here about confidence as well, because I feel like you have confidence, pile number 3. You definitely do. I think you're very capable, and you tend to know this. Other people tend to know this about you, and I think that you're accomplished in something which contributes to your confidence here, but it's a type of external confidence, if that makes sense, where you have built yourself up in certain ways and you have maybe like a degree, or you have external things around you, right? Like as you started to build your life, build your portfolio, build your assets, build your skill set, all of those things are external and they're around you, and they've contributed to a sense of confidence in you, right? Where you've just proven your skill set, you've tested your mettle, kind of a thing, and it's beautiful. And I also think that you have a beautiful type of confidence where some of you, maybe you work this way like in a job, but the type of confidence I feel like you practice regularly is the type where you've got to predict an outcome, or it's like, how confident are you that this outcome is going to happen, or how confident are you that you can produce this outcome for somebody. And so a lot of you guys, that's how you relate to confidence, is producing an outcome. But that's another thing that 2022 has it in mind to address for you, is it wants to introduce and build and nurture a new confidence in you, a more internal confidence that's very connected to your solar plexus. So all of these things, right? Understanding that you actually are good at communicating. People do find you interesting just when you're in the right setting, when you're in the right group to talk about the right thing that you want to talk about at the right time. Like, you know, it's then you're going to start to get different responses from people. And just knowing that you have this other type of confidence, not the confidence that says, I'm confident that I can produce an outcome or that this outcome will happen, but the confidence that says, even if this outcome doesn't occur the way I want it to, I'm still going to be fine because I'm capable and I know that I can handle whatever comes and that I can figure it out as I go, because you have this energy where you are a very dynamic person. Like I said, you're a very physical person, a very action-oriented person. And I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit for that, where you don't, maybe you do attribute this to a type of luck, because I'm seeing you build your luck, like movement with you, not impulsive movement, but just you ever had a coach say to you, a body in motion stays in motion? I have never understood that phrase. I just always, I'm like, oh yeah, like I just shake my head like I understand. But I think for you that you would probably understand that, like a body in motion stays in motion. So you just kind of keep active, keep going, and it brings a type of awareness, a type of intuition to you. Your physical body is probably a strong source of intuition as well, like hitting your actual physical self in an environment, in a situation. So if you're thinking about taking a leap into, like, I don't know, as an example, like you want to be a singer, see if you can't get into an auditorium or something, just stand on the stage to get your physical self, you know, in that situation. And a lot of you guys, like, I think you have to learn on the go a lot. That's how you produce like a type of mastery. And then this intuitiveness about you produces a type of luck that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So yeah, and this confidence, this newfound confidence in you, and also this understanding your interests, both of those together, it is going to unexpectedly create some type of a plan here for you. Because a lot of you guys, you have a very interesting energy where I feel like you're on some kind of long-term track to success, but you have a very impulsive or intuitive nature to you where maybe, I don't know, I feel like you would like to get yourself, like your overall, the way you operate maybe in life is you like to get yourself to a path where you know it's going to produce success if you just keep one step in front of the other. You know what I'm saying? But it's not necessarily, like, I guess it is a type of long-term plan, but it's not like, you know, where someone like me would sit down and plan out the next 25 years of my life, like on paper. You know, it's not like that. It's not, anxious at all. Like you have a very good energy too, you guys. File number 3. Okay, so this process that I'm seeing unfolding, I think some of you guys, like, you might have a New Year's resolution around like figuring out your interests or your conversational skills or something, but I feel like this is starting off rocky for you here in the new year. Now, all of this seems to have been initiated, I think, at the end of 2021. So that's what I want to talk about. Like, even though it might be difficult for you to pick up on, especially at the beginning of the year, that all of these random things are actually a cohesive path and it's leading you up towards this big crescendo at the end of the year, which I think is going to look like you making a decision, or you like finally making a decision for yourself that you've been wanting to make for a long time, and being decisive about it and resurrecting different parts of yourself. But I feel like all of this, you're aware that there's a certain thing here that you want to change about yourself. And I feel like that happened in 2021 towards the end, where something clicked in, like somebody said something around you in conversation or something, and it was like the missing key. It was just something snapped into place, and I feel like it turned your worldview on its head a little bit here. Whereas you were thinking before that for you to live this like the right way, you know, which I think, like I said, you kind of navigate yourself to a path where, you know, if you just keep on it, you're gonna build yourself to success. And you just, because that was your approach, which is not a bad approach, by the way. And I think it has yielded, or it will definitely yield a lot of results for you. There were certain things that were rocky, or I don't know, sucked to deal with a little bit for you. And you were telling yourself in the past, like your worldview was telling you, probably in a subconscious way, that there's no action that you can take, right, to fix that. That's just part of, it just comes with the territory, you know, and everyone's dealing with it. And that's just, it is what it is. But then there's some kind of realization that you had here. And I feel like I'm on the right path with this because we've been getting this message more and more on the channel. But there's some kind of realization around Venusian things, right? That your values impact your choices, impact the types of people that you are around, impact the quality of your life and of your existence in different areas of your life, but also overall. And I think maybe there's something here that led to that understanding, and that's something that you want to play around with. So this curious nature that you have, that's so palpable, and that you have turned towards pragmatic things in the past, things that are real, things that are quantifiable, in a very matter-based sense, if that makes sense. I think you've shifted it to a type of curiosity around people, and like people that are different than you, especially because I think that you found yourself in a type of echo chamber before, where I think a lot of you might meet friends around your workplace or around your family, which is a totally normal thing to do. But I think what you realized is that you were in a type of echo chamber because everybody had made similar decisions to you or had similar values, or your cousin Tony knows, the person who also works at your company. It was like a small fishbowl or something that you were in. But I think there is something kind of like superior about this path, because and I think all of this solidified very subconsciously into a type of worldview that you had, but I think it was like subconscious in a way. And then it's like when you pulled it out into the light in 2021, or maybe like even at the beginning of 2022, it didn't stand up to logic, I think, of like, okay, well, this is just the more superior path. Like you're starting to realize that everyone's different. So, yeah, I think, okay. And I don't think you would say this to yourself like consciously. I think this was like the assumption based around the conversations that happened around you at your workplace or in your family, maybe, where it's like, okay, there's this superior path. This is the path to success. And I think what they mean by success is material worldly success, that's like having a real estate portfolio, stock portfolio, those kinds of things, which are nice and they're good goals and they're not outright evil just in and of themselves, right? But there's a certain conversation of like, well, that is the superior path. So the people that don't go that way or that don't choose that path are either not smart enough to see that that's the superior path, or they're not capable enough to get themselves on that path and then stay on that path. And I think what you've started to realize is that in reality, and again, I feel like maybe you just never thought about it. Like you just brought your conscious awareness to it maybe for the first time, and you were like, in reality, there's a myriad of ways of values that people have and reasons why they make their choices. And I think for some of you guys, maybe you met a person or you went to a place that represented the opposite kind of life that you lived, but you liked it. You found it to be very respectable, admirable. And I think that one thing that has clicked in for you is this fireside element, which is your shadow self element, which we'll get more into here in a second. But it's like bravery, courage, individuality, creativity, so you're seeing that, oh, well, somebody made a different choice than you, and you're starting to see that person's actually capable. I'm using a person as like just an example so it's easy to talk about, but it could be like a whole field, or like I said, you could have gone to a place or overheard a conversation about something, and you want to it made you want to nurture those qualities in and of yourself. So the process that I was describing that you can kind of go through, I think it kicked in for you at the end of 2021 to the beginning of 2022, where you started to have this fervor within you, this fire, this desire to finally make a different choice or to finally make some kind of big change in your life. It bubbled up to the surface, right? And you were like, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to be creative. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to strike up conversations, with people who are different than me. And I'm going to just listen more. Like I'm going to find them to be interesting, and I'm just going to put myself out there because I'm different than them and they're going to appreciate that too, all of that. So it bubbled up into this like finite moment. But the thing is, you need a runway, and that's what 2022 is going to be, because And here's why this probably, I have a feeling that you're not getting the results that you want at the beginning of the year, and it's making you feel self-conscious, and it's making you blame yourself and tell yourself that, oh, you're bad at these creative things or socializing. But that I want to tell you why that's a lie so much, but I'm gonna have to like work my way into it here. But that's what you've started to tell yourself, because I think that there are people or groups that you want to join, but now you're just feeling too shy or something, and now you've bumped up into the same pattern that you always do, where you get really impulsive and then you don't have like a full plan about it. Because I don't think that you're really a planner. It's funny because I'm seeing this long-term plan for you, but it's like you're not necessarily a planner. It's almost like you picked a road that you knew went all the way to Oz and you just got on it, which is brilliant, by the way. Like, if you're not a planner, that is brilliant. You did a good job. Like, so now you're pulled back, you're reflecting, you're doing some type of healing, and you feel like people always rain on your parade. They always get in the way. Now, and there's one thing I want to say before I move on to like describing. I want to describe your masculine and feminine sides, because I think what you wouldn't necessarily describe it this way at the beginning of the year, especially, but that's what your soul wants, is some type of integration. And that's also the key for you being successful here. Because I want to tell you why I'm seeing it here so clearly, like why it could not be going right. But I think that another thing that you realize is that there was a shadow cost to the way that you were living. And it was your enthusiasm. And it was you feeling alive and feeling passionate. And there's something here, because you're a very pragmatic, realistic person. And there's something about this loss that you start to realize was tangible as well, quantifiable as well. Like you feeling lethargic, and you've got to muscle your way through your life, through obstacles and things like that. It has a type of cost to it, because I think you guys work really hard, I feel like, by the way, if you are female who's chosen this pile, people might really misunderstand you, and like where it is that you're coming from. And I do think that you feel like an alien sometimes, where you just don't fit in, or people don't see you for the person that you are. And I can't imagine how frustrating that has to be. But 2022, I think, is going to bring a lot of things to light, especially because you are showing up here so strong, so conscious. But yeah, you felt like there was, even though you were on this path to like worldly success and you were building some type of portfolio, maybe it's a real estate portfolio, stock portfolio, or you work a job where you have to, like, it's creative or it's technical in a way where you've got to maintain some kind of portfolio. You were set to that, but then you felt impoverished in another area. It wasn't bringing you satisfaction or contentment like you thought it would. So then this actually kicks back another cycle, because this is a cycle that you are wrapped up in. Now, the key to this is, and I think you had this realization before too, which is that you're lopsided. You are very lopsided, male or female. You are lopsided towards your masculine energy, is what the cards are showing. And I think you started to realize that because internally you were lopsided, that was manifesting externally in your reality, right? That you were lopsided. And again, I don't know if this was as a result of some kind of conversations in this echo chamber like environment that you were in, where you were taught not to value creativity or feminine things. Maybe even the females in your life, like their work or contribution to family life or something, it was degraded or looked down upon. Or you saw your mother being pressured not to live in her feminine aspect, or degraded for living in her feminine aspect, or something like that. Could have been. And so I think you really did internalize that lesson, again, in a very like osmosis. You absorb a lot of things like osmosis. That's what it looks like. So you absorbed that in a very like osmosis-y kind of way. And so yeah, like there was just this lopsidedness. And so this is what I mean by like, this will kick you back into like this cycle, because that's where this impulsiveness comes in. Okay. Because it really is your feminine side that wants to come out and wants to express itself, because your feminine side is fiery. Your masculine side is earthy. So you have, like, first of all, probably a lot of stamina, a lot of willpower, a lot of determination. And I really think that truly like I just want to pull back. I just want you to know that this impulsivity is your feminine side that's trying to call to you. It's trying to burst out of your psyche. It's trying to get your attention, right? And I'm hearing the psyche will be heard, right? I think L.M.S.W is the one who says that. The psyche will be heard if she's got to do it the easy way or if she's got to do it the hard way. And I think for some of you, your psyche feels like it has to do it the hard way, so it's got to catch you off guard. Like, maybe some of you guys, like, you might, okay, this is just as a side note, like if you drink sometimes, like not even to the point of like excess or anything, you might really surprise yourself when you're drinking, or like you surprise other people where you are like this straight-laced person during the day and then you're like, everybody into the river or something like like whatever, because it's like when your conscious controlled mind drops and then your feminine side can come out, which is impulsive and it's funny and it's charismatic, that all these traits that you think you aren't, they're buried in your shadow side. Let's talk about your masculine side first though, real quick, because this is the one that is like so dominant here in your life. Like I said, it is very earthy and it's really beautiful, honestly. It kind of has the quality of like an ox, you know, it's very strong and it's strong-willed, very determined, and I feel like it just pushes through obstacles, right? And I'm seeing this ox like pulling a cart now. So I feel like there could be community, children, family, people in general that really rely on you, I think, as a problem solver, to be honest. Like, I think that you are a very talented problem solver in some way, shape, or form. Again, with the outcomes, like, can you produce a certain outcome or get people to a certain place? And a lot of people may rely on you for this. And it is a tangible type of value that you do produce for a lot of people. But like, that's what this shadow cost is it's very self-sacrificial, your more masculine side. And it does kind of feel that because it's always helping, it's always in the giver position, it's always helping other people, that it is superior to other people. And I guess like technically it is, you know, it is, but there's another side to you that doesn't want to be superior to other people. You want to be chummy, you want to be friends, you want to have people like you for your conversation, for your charm, your interests, your charisma, and they can, like, it's just this masculine side, right? So when your feminine side wants to come out, because I feel like the thing, you've been hovering around a choice in your life. It's a choice you feel like could potentially change your life, I think you have to consider all these people who rely on you, your children, your family, or something. And for some of you are earlier on in your journey where you haven't progressed through a career or something like that, you still have a plan so that you can take care of a family or take care of children or something like that. But again, you feel like it's at a cost. It means you can't be creative, or it means that you don't get to play around with something in your life, which is another aspect of what this is doing, because you need your feminine side, basically, is what this is hovering around. Because this overdevelopment of your masculine, it's not just an overdevelopment, it's an over-application of your masculine side. Does that make sense? Where you're applying it in these new realms. Because I think your masculine side produces results, especially in masculine arenas, you know, in your career, anything like very results driven. I feel like so it's confusing you. It's giving you like mixed messages. It's something that makes you excel in some type of way. But then on the social arena, it's like, it's like a handicap, but it's just because that's not where it goes. That's where your feminine side wants to come out. And your feminine side is magnetic, charming, funny, witty. And yeah, so that's what it is. So that's where I feel like some of you guys, this impulsivity, that's a bad sign. That's the sign before pride comes before the fall, kind of a thing. That's the sign before. Start recognizing that it's a cycle and pull back, because like I said, you need more of a runway in order to make it more sustainable. You're going to know that because that's going to mean your masculine and feminine sides are more integrated, because your masculine side sustains things, but your feminine side is going to be creative and get you in the door. Does that make sense? So I feel like in conversations, you might try to be very forceful or try to push your way through, just like you would when you meet an obstacle in your career. Does that make sense? And so that's why you're not getting the results. It's not that there's something wrong with you. It's just the wrong side of you, the wrong qualities of you show up in like an inappropriate arena or inappropriate context, giving people the wrong idea of you. Not that you are wrong. They don't get a chance to see you in that way, because your feminine side needs to bring you in the door to the cocktail party, if that makes sense. And it might just understand, like, it might be rocky at first. It might feel weird. You might feel weak or something, but your feminine side is strong. Like, it's fire, fire is a masculine element too, like where it's just, but it's very charismatic and it will really just kind of draw people in. So I feel like for you, context is big. Understanding the context and which sides of yourself to bring out in what context, if that makes sense. And seeking out, like, I think, again, niche groups, it's going to be important. So you're like, I'm going to my robotics class today at 2 and nobody knows me. Give them a fake name if you have to. That's probably bad advice. Don't do that. Well, I don't know. Do what you want. But I don't know either way, like how that would go. But I'm just saying, like, put it in like an isolated time where you can slowly build this up and start to see that people react differently to you, so that you can build up this other kind of confidence. And you're going to fall on your face. You're going to make a fool of yourself a couple of times. It's okay. Everybody does it in a social situation. A lot will come for you just laughing things off and dusting yourself off and moving forward. And you will start to build this confidence in yourself. You're going to start to realize that it's not you. It's just that the messaging that you'd been getting in this sort of social vacuum, like echo chamber, it just wasn't setting you up to be successful in a social way or in a creative way. Now, some of you guys do have a creative dream, and this is important to pay attention to, because it is your dharma. That is your spiritual duty. And I highly suggest looking into just like the spiritual concept of dharma from a Buddhist sense, from a Vedic sense, just so you can get more of an idea of what it is that I'm talking about, because trying to sum up a huge concept like that in one word, I'm only ever going to do it a disservice. But just there's something here inside of you that you feel like such a passion, such enthusiasm for. I think it's very creative. I think a lot of you want to start something from nothing, and you want to be an individual. You want to go your own way. And so if you're meeting people that represent this shadow side, honestly, this might be occurring on the backdrop of a divine feminine. I think it would be a divine feminine that comes into your life, and that the way that person expresses their femininity is how your feminine side is and wants to express itself. So that is a calling for you to build that, to integrate that. That is really the key to your success. Your masculine side has been so successful in the past, pile number 3. It really has, and you've grown to rely on it. And other parts of you have atrophied, is just what I'm getting. So Spirit's almost like, wake up, sunshine, it's leg day. Like, we've been working out those biceps. How do you feel about doing a squat? And if you've ever done a squat in your life, you're going to know that's not going to be a fun morning for you. But it's like the more you do it, just the easier it gets, and that's how you're just building this other muscle. The same way you would build any other muscle. Give yourself compassion, be kind to yourself. I feel for a lot of you, like I said, you need these ingredients to temper this impulsive side, because this looks like you start to feel like you're sky high and that you can do something, and then you're confused as to why when you try to push through, it doesn't happen for you. And what 2022 looks like your best friend, honestly, your energetic best friend that is just kind of trying to subtly pollinate your life and subtly show you and gift you these 2 big things that you need. The first is an interdisciplinary approach, an appreciation for different approaches to life, where you're realizing that people and their creativity, their ingenuity, their different backgrounds, their different values means that they're dynamic and creative, and that there's things you can learn from them that if you apply it to, even if you stay on this very solid road, if you start to apply these different maybe cultures, different cultural approach to like doing something that you've been doing the same way, it might really be that, like, I don't know, I'm hearing almost like a lubricant that you need to transform your life, to move you from one area to another. And this appreciation is going to give you skills that you need. A lot of you are good with tools, and you're taking this talent that you have with tools and you're pushing it to a more social arena. Some of you might have Saturn in Gemini. I don't know why I'm getting that all of a sudden, but the other thing is that you need this other type of confidence, because it's just like when a neuron fires over the synaptic gap. It's free falling. It's got to trust that there's another side there. Or when you do trapeze, when you let go of the bar and you're free falling, and then you trust the catcher to catch you on the other side, you always bump up against that moment of the unknown. There's never going to be a concrete answer to that question, which is why, again, you're chasing your tail in regards to that. There's never going to be a concrete answer. This is not the type of life experience that you can guarantee an outcome. And that, I think, is hard for you. So 2022 is saying, if you want to go for this dream, you have to have a different type of confidence in yourself, that you can handle whatever comes through, but you can take the risk on yourself. Because I think a lot of you have built something in your life that provides some type of cushion for you. And that in meeting these other people, you might meet people who have like done more with less, kind of a thing, where you're like, wow, how are you so brave when you had $50 in your bank account? That kind of a thing. So Spirit, this is connecting you with your Dharma. Some of you feel a strong energy surge towards doing something, and that is your calling. So at the end of 2022, Spirit wants to know, like, are you hearing the call to really do this? Now, I do feel at the beginning of the year, it is advisable for you to do more listening, especially to your feminine side. And I don't know if you want to start to pull in some Jungian tactics of active imagination, where you sit your feminine side down and just ask her what she would like to say to you, because she's going to yell at first. She's so fiery that she's probably angry. Some of you guys have probably, again, subconsciously hinted to this divine feminine energy that if she can make a buck, then she's welcome. But if she can't, then she needs to pipe down, because you've got to work. You're busy. You got things to do. You're going somewhere and you don't need her. But the joke is on you, my friend, because you absolutely need her. There's a fantasy that I think that you've, bought into, that it's like, if you're going to get somewhere, that you disown parts of yourself. I think you're going to find that that's actually draining your energy. Some of you might have energy problems, trouble sustaining your energy. That's just your feminine. I just feel like when this clicks in for you, things are going to move in such a cohesive, well-oiled way. You might get addicted to it, like the feeling of actually being whole and feeling strong and not carrying a bunch of dead weight, because just because you're good at it doesn't mean that's the way that you need to go. You guys are good at pulling people behind you, pulling a bunch of dead weight behind you, but it is holding you back. And there's something here where you've got to go against the teachings that have been around you in a conversational, colloquial way. Because maybe somebody sat you down and told you all of these things. I doubt it, though. I think it was just absorbed repeatedly and often, because you kept finding yourselves in these groups that put these ideas forward. So there's a huge aspect here of embracing the unknown. High Priestess, divine feminine energy that represents the unknown, and the black and the white pillar here. So this is just a call to integration. And then you'll finally be able to walk through this door. And again, regardless of how things turn out for you, you're going to know that you're strong, because that's really the key to success. I think that's what you're going to find. Some of you guys are going to leave behind like a community or something like that, a family, but they're going to be happy for you that you are doing this. I think that more people are going to be happy than you realize. And you're just going to be cutting ties with an old life, and your creativity is just going to go through the roof. And where some of you guys felt like you were an outcast or you were weird in the past, you're going to feel empowered. It's going to be the thing that sets you apart. And I don't know why, but I'm thinking of this video that I watched about Reese Witherspoon, where they were talking about her, she's got like that beautiful heart face shaped, and her chin like is so cute and pointy. And they were saying like, honestly, it makes her different, but it made her stand out. And that's something about you. It's like, it's your differences, what makes you different or unique is actually your strength in doing whatever this is, and being able to go your own way. Because I feel like that's all you've wanted for yourself in your life. When you've achieved a type of stability, when you meet your deficiency needs, that's all you're going to think about, is wanting to self-actualize, wanting to be on your own soul journey. Another way that you guys self-sabotage, I think a lot of you're good problem solvers, and there could be somebody around you who is a bit of a fantasist, like they're a bit of a time waster for you, because they are not you. They are not, how do I want to say this? They sell you some pipe dreams, and they're not real, and they're not going to be real because this person doesn't have it, And I think for a lot of you guys, like, you plan for people like this. You put your problem-solving skills and abilities towards building things, making plans for other people, problem-solving, whatever. But it's a case of like, the cobbler's children have no shoes, where you don't do this for yourself. And it is like a form of self-sabotage, because I feel like you kind of try to tell yourself that, oh, you're going to get around to it. But because you have so many responsibilities, and people are so keen to make you responsible because you're so darn productive, and you're results driven, and you understand how to get tangible results in the material world in some way for people. They are just, they want to just put all their dead weight on you. And you're so strong that, and you've been doing this for so long, that you don't realize that Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Like, you can hustle, you can juke and jive, you can make a lot of progress in a short amount of time, when you're not pulling all of that unnecessary weight, where it literally is just draining your energy. I feel like logic's a big thing for you guys, and it doesn't make logical sense. But that's how that's why I'm kind of like, this looks like self-sabotage. And that's another way that you hold yourself back in a sneaky way, because you tell yourself that, oh, you're leaning into that masculine side. You tell yourself you're being responsible, and you are, I don't know what this is, but I think it wants like fame or glory, or I don't know. It's not grounded, whatever that is. It's not. And I think that there's something about you where if you just start to call that what it is, that it's a self-sabotage. Because I don't know, there's people around you that want you to, I think when you realize that you're a battery, you really are, you're a good one. But when you realize you're the battery to your own life, and that you have to start taking care of yourself first, and that other people will only benefit from that. First of all, when you start to switch over there, you're going to understand like the people who just want to use you like as a machine, and they just want to take your battery and like plug it into their life. But again, that's like a way of self-sabotage. And you might start to realize this here. And I think another thing is, if you have like a lot of hobbies or interests that you go to, it might prevent that from occurring. That makes sense. Some of you want to go down a non-traditional path. But I think there's also a part of you that you are starting to recognize that there's other things. I feel like I've been talking for so long. I'm so sorry, pal number 3. I'm going to wrap this up. But I feel like you feel there's other things that are valuable that you overlooked in the past. And it is things like courage, valor, creativity, individuality, nurturing those qualities into yourself, which is, by the way, fire traits. They are the way forward for you. And you would hate it, I think, if you felt like you lost something of quote unquote actual value, meaning that it's material, it's quantifiable, you can like throw it against a wall and it's going to make a sound. If you lost like an asset or money or something like that in order to just gain something intangible, quote unquote intangible, like your confidence or your individual, you know what I mean? There's something like that where you're like, come on, that's dumb or that's stupid, but that's not your voice talking. I think you actually quite value it because that's your feminine, that's your Venus, is creativity, individuality, bravery, charismatic speaking, going your own way, not being afraid to go your own way. There is something about because your impulsivity, right? The lion in this card represents impulsivity, and the feminine, the Virgo, the maiden, is quieting this through skill, patience, and infinite wisdom. This is how your side's spirit is wanting you to interact with it, that masculine voice. Now, I keep looking at this card, and I just want to read this because I can't remember what this card is, Strega, but I'm just really called to read it, and then I'm going to be done because I feel like I've talked. This is going to be one where I put it into edit, and it's going to be like 40 minutes, and I'm going to be like, what on earth did I even say? Okay, Strega. You have power, it is real. Do not fear what you do not understand, but rather seek to understand it. Ooh. Follow your curiosity. Weave your magic everywhere you go. You can create something from nothing. A lot of you want to create something from nothing. Also, because you're so logical, maybe this will help as well. The way that I view like magic, quote unquote, I think people approach magic from the wrong place of like, is magic real or isn't it real? I think that life is, it comes alive like when you engage with it and you make it feel magical. I think it's something we are responsible for cultivating in our lives. And then that's where that manifestation power really comes from. And I am kind of getting that you're learning about manifestation and how to, there's something about you where you work so hard and you get so far, and maybe it solidifies into a bit of a chip on your shoulder, but you can work smarter, not harder, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of you guys, you're going to learn how to Tai Chi some energy in order to not waste your energy where you don't need to, you know? Okay. Strega, which in English means witch, hey, refers to one who is a weaver of magic. Yes. Streg is a plural for strega, and magara and maga are the other Italian terms for witch. Maga in Vedic is, I don't know what it means technically, but that is the nakshatra of legacy. And it is the first nakshatra in Leo, making it creative. It rules over children and creativity, but it's like children as your projects, the energy that you kind of put out into the world, where you like to funnel your creative energy. I stress this enough. A lot of you guys are very fertile in 2022. So just be careful about that, boo-boo. Or not. Maybe that's great news and you're reproducing, or, sorry, I am weird. Every person I know that has a baby, I like to use words like offspring and reproducing just to make them feel weird, as a way of showing my love. So sorry if you're reproducing in 2022. If you are reproducing in 2022, I feel like you're going to be successful here in that. Maybe some of you have been wanting to have kids, but you've been like, I don't know, you tiptoe up to that precipice and you pull back, but just having confidence in yourself that you can deal with whatever happens with children, right? You know, that if they have extra needs that you need to care for or something like that, that you can do that. But this, I want to bring it back to the phrase that I found, soul retrieval. Pile number 3, soul retrieval. I feel like you're going to feel like you're going on a bit of a journey. And it is a bit of a journey, but it is bringing you to a type of fortune here, a holistic type of fortune, where it's leading you to understanding the art of contentment, where I think, contentment means that you can be contented regardless of your circumstance. This is what the sages are always talking about, where you're not so touchy. You can't just get pulled off of your course, like, because something didn't go right. Like, whatever happens, you can handle it. So you remain calm and contented. And I feel like that's where you're headed. I want to say that a lot of you guys really do, you command respect. You could be in a leadership position, and that really, you do like that. So starting over from nothing, that may be another aspect of who are you going to be if you just start over from nothing, or I don't know, something like that. And I don't have the answer to that. I feel like that's just an important thing to lean into for yourself, because that's, of course, like a false identity, an ego identity, a cloak that, if you're clinging to it out of fear, like, well, if I wasn't this person, what would happen in my life? Whatever that answer is, let it happen. If it can be destroyed by truth, let it be destroyed by truth. And just see, that's my advice. Do what you want. That's like, I don't know, something that I would want to say as well. I think this is ultimately about courage. You must have courage to face the unknown. There's no back door. There's no trap door. There's no certainty. You will bud yourself up to places where you cannot be certain, and it doesn't make you stupid. It makes you brave if you take a chance on that, even when things fail. And I feel like that's not how it's been framed for you in the past, where it's like, oh, so-and-so, they pulled out of their really secure job and they took this investment and they lost all their money. So stupid. And it's like, well, you're Monday morning quarterbacking. What actually it was brave, perhaps. Maybe it also was a little reckless. I don't know. But I feel like you guys are getting where I'm going with this. So that's what I have for you guys, pile number 3. That was so long. I apologize, but also I hope that this was helpful. And I hope that just stick with this, because I think some of you, especially here at the beginning of the year, you're feeling a little rocky, you're feeling a little insecure, you're feeling a little timid. And I think you're personalizing a lot of things because you've built up your courage to finally put yourself out there in a way, or to finally take a step towards your more creative side. Just don't forget, you've got to take that divine feminine side with you. Something that's not afraid to be an individual, that's brave, that's a leader, that's charismatic. And I feel like if you seek out, especially here at first, these niche groups where it's just you naturally flow into that, and then see how people respond to you there. And don't be afraid to do a lot of listening. So anyways, that's what I have for you guys, pile number 3. If that resonated, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye guys.